And we're live, gentlemen. Matt, okay, do you think the listeners will know who our guest is in the bottom left-hand corner here?
Not a Zoomer.
Of course, they will know who it is. How many Uncle Rockstars we have in Bitcoin? Come on.
There's only one. The voice says it
We
all.
have two. We have two guests this week. We have return guest, friend of the podcast, Rockstar Dev, who already said hi. And then we have D from BTC Inc., Bitcoin Magazine, BTC Media. I'm Nakamoto. Probably not speaking as for Nakamoto right now, but they got a lot of things in the kitchen. How's it going, D?
Good, Matt. Yeah, thanks for having me on. This is exciting. Like I said, a long-time listener, so it's cool to be behind the mic now.
D, are you a Zoomer?
I think I missed that year cutoff. I don't know what the official tranches are, but no, I'm a dyed-in-the-wool millennial.
Okay,
it's good. I've been tired of the Zoomers, so it's good to have millennials back in charge.
I know, yeah. Show. They're having a moment for sure. So I think the millennials got to kind of rein them in here.
Well, I mean, I was saying to Marty. Marty was negging our ride or die Bitcoin Zoomers like 5 weeks ago, 6 weeks ago. Like, your organization is almost primarily Zoomers. I feel like you have a ton over there.
I would say, yeah, comparative. Well, I don't know how most Bitcoin companies in terms of like their demographic makeup is. I don't know if we're maybe an outlier. Definitely an outlier compared to like just general corporate America. We are very skewed towards Zoomers. We skew a bit younger, which I think is not too surprising, in terms of being interested in Bitcoin. If you look at the demographics about Bitcoin usage, it skews kind of to that demographic. So yeah, we like to be reflective and a good representation of the constituency we serve. So, but I love our Zoomers. Our Zoomers are probably like the hardest working bunch of. I know. Can I call them kids? Is that am I going to get canceled to call them kids?
I mean, they dropped out of college to work at your company. I think you can call them kids.
All right, exactly. Well, that goes back to that, reining them in. So I'm going to call them kids. But yeah, they're it's insane. It's that combined passion of youth and passion for Bitcoin. And yeah, I mean, we're definitely grateful to have them because they do a lot of good hard work.
Yeah, I was kidding earlier. I love our Zoomers. I'm not tired of you. It's and it is impressive. All the Zoomers at BTC Inc., at the magazine, putting in work. We're here to put in work, and D, your hat is actually providing the most perfect segue to the first topic of the show, which pertains to BTCPayServer. Luckily for us, we have a long-time BTCPayServer contributor and sort of stalwart in the BTCPayServer project with Rockstar Dev here. So I'm going to throw it to you, Rockstar. What happened with this problem yesterday? There was a problem with MBX Explorer, and it disrupted anybody running BTCPay servers.
Yeah, what happened essentially is if you click on that Nicholas image where he is explaining it, that there was crazy version number in the block 896727. And Nicholas was so excited to implement SegWit back in the day that he copied the code, the way it worked back then. And then there is that witness serialization flag that's there not as a version number but a flag. And essentially now that we have all kinds of craziness within the block, that caused an exception to much dismay of op return debate crowd, because everyone was hoping it's op return, specially crafted, but it wasn't. It was a version number, and by crashing MBX Explorer, couldn't process that transaction. Then all the BTCPay servers went down, but as soon as we got reports, we fixed it in like 2 hours. So now if you have BTCPay server running and it's not syncing the blockchain, first of all, you cannot create new invoices. No one can like start a payment and then lose a payment. It's more that you just can't generate invoices. Like all you need to do is you bump the version of MBX Explorer to 2.5.26. You'll be good to go. But I honestly, I really like that this happened with project on top of Bitcoin Core, and it wasn't some kind of critical problem within Bitcoin Core, because it also shows how much of a good work Bitcoin Core is doing from technical perspective. And also, yeah, it brings up a conversation of like what we will do as a Bitcoin community when it comes to further development of Bitcoin and Bitcoin Core. Because to me, as a developer, the only way this goes to zero is if we, in process of development, introduce some kind of a problem, and there is, I don't know, split of blockchain, critical error like this in Bitcoin Core. So that's something to keep in mind as people continue to discuss, shall we add this feature to Bitcoin? Shall we add this? It's like, to me, it's keep it simple. We already, with Bitcoin, we have something magnificent, and yeah, let's keep it simple.
Matt, you're muted.
Yeah, I can't hear Matt.
It wasn't the transaction that everyone was freaking out about, the massive op return transaction.
The
It was a
Megger?
different
No.
transaction.
People were so disappointed. No, it wasn't that one. It was, again, if you look up Nicholas Dorier post, the version number, instead of being 1 or 2, it was 760 billion. It was just how block was constructed. Yeah. And we also now have that. You have miners constructing block templates, and because of that, yeah, we end up having this data that's unexpected. But to me, again, this is a testament of how technically well implemented Bitcoin is. And in this whole op return discussion, one thing that I wish that was emphasized more is how much of a good work Bitcoin Core is doing technically. When it comes to moderation, when it comes to some contributors wanting more status, more promotion, sure, we can discuss about that part that wasn't good. But technically, the job Bitcoin Core is doing is phenomenal. And if we do even wish more implementations, I hope that those implementations have at least like several active contributors, so that people can be sure that any code that's committed is reviewed by multiple Bitcoin Core developers.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a really good point here. I mean, in this case, no funds were at risk. Some businesses might not have been able to receive payments for a couple hours until they updated. It was a little bit scary for people that they're just BTCPayServers all around the world all went down. But if you think about it on the Bitcoin level, on the Bitcoin protocol level, if we had a situation where a single transaction knocked off, a large majority, if not all, of the Bitcoin nodes, we would no longer be having on-chain payments. So it's a bit of a different magnitude between the two projects. But I think that is a very interesting point to highlight.
Well, Logan, bring up the mempool.space. Because Rockstar, you mentioned, had a different version number in the Coinbase transaction, and this block was mined by an unknown miner. Do you think this is similar to something like what Barack did with the 999 out of 1,000 multi-sig that he did that messed up, what was it, BTCD and the Lightning Network for a time? Where do you think this miner intentionally messed with that version number to see what it would disrupt?
Yeah, if you click on that transaction, you can see exactly the version number. But no, click on 889. There you go. And scroll down. And you see version number. Hilarious. Now, the thing is, I don't think we were targeted directly. It's more that you do have a bunch of degens doing crazy stuff now on Bitcoin blockchain, because that's also where I disagree a lot with the whole ordinals crowd, because it is vanity. It is, hey, I want to embed something of mine in this blockchain that has immense value. So you have things like people going crazy that they manage to fill the entire Bitcoin block with their JPEG. Or this person is like, okay, I'll be the first one to have this crazy version number. So we should be aware of that as we're continuing development on Bitcoin. And I love that with Bitcoin, we're going in different direction than, say, Ethereum. Hey, with Ethereum, it went fully into, we're going to develop this, we're going to develop that, we're going to switch to proof of stake. It's so much better for the environment. And if you see what happened over the last 10 years, it's simply Bitcoiners were right. Go conservative route. Bitcoin is money. It's the best money we humans have created. Build on top of that and keep it like that. Don't go into, if we have this crazy new op code that does this scripts, then in 10 years people will use it. It's like, no. Just Bitcoin is money. Keep it as money. Let's build on top of that. And then if you do want to do something, let's more go into layers like we went with Lightning. Let's develop protocols on top of Bitcoin. And that's, again, as a developer, as someone that has built number of tech startups, participated in open source projects, BTCPayServer, then Strike. Like, I can tell you, as someone that built those systems, always go in layers. And let's go in that direction.
I completely agree. And the ordinals crowd will say nobody's using Bitcoin as money. That's why we have the ability to put all these transactions in, which is a perfect segue into the main reason you and D are here, which is to talk about the initiative at the Bitcoin conference in a couple weeks, actually showcasing the use case of Bitcoin as money, a medium of exchange.
D, you are the godfather of this effort.
What do we have planned?
Oh man, it's a lot to unbundle. I don't want to have to go too far in the beginning, but yeah, you definitely kind of teed it up pretty well in that. I think the idea is really to showcase that the technology is ready. A lot of people, we've announced we're attempting this Guinness World Record attempt for most Bitcoin transactions in a physical location in one day. And yeah, it feels a little bit kind of like, like kitschy and like a little bit of a publicity stunt. And I would say, yeah, it kind of is, but very intentionally, right? I think, when we thought about this, Rockstar and, we have Michael Markle who runs our store team as well. I just felt like the conversation around Bitcoin is so saturated right now about institutional adoption, ETFs, and, that's great. I don't want to, throw too much shade over there, but, it feels like, and when we plan these conferences, right, it's hard. The hardest thing to do, and this is going to happen day one after the event's done, is like, all right, how do we top that? How do we top that, right? How do we make sure that, we're asking all these Bitcoiners to come together, celebrate, hear, historic announcements about Bitcoin, et cetera. Like, it can get stale. That's how the event business is in general. And so, the narrative right now is so heavily focused around like institutional adoption, Bitcoin on your balance sheet, all great. But, my worry, and this is not, I'm speaking just me personally, is we're moving further and further away from, Bitcoin as this peer-to-peer decentralized currency. And when I bring that up, people kind of like, I don't want to say they're dismissive when I bring up the concern, but it kind of rolls off the shoulders of like, well, it's going to happen eventually. It's going to happen. Like, don't worry about it. Like, what's the rush? And I disagree that it's a foregone conclusion. That's where I think I stand, is that we have to want to see it. We have to actually, be interested in progressing. And the people that tell me usually it's a foregone conclusion, it's just going to happen, it's just not, for now's not the right time. They agree they want to see it become money as well. I just don't think anyone's really interested in, taking that first step forward. So going back to the conference, this, Guinness World Record attempt, I really think it's going to be a great opportunity to spotlight it, first, this notion that the currency the technology is not ready, and that, you know, Lightning can't handle it, or people are still stuck in the FUD of, you know, oh, you're going to wait 10 minutes for a block to confirm before somebody can, you know, finish ordering their coffee. So I think showcasing the technology is ready is going to be a huge, I think, moment to just show that, you know, with this record attempt that, you know, Bitcoin can be used as a medium of exchange. And, you know, it's interesting when we embarked on this with Guinness as well. And Rockstar knows this because he's heard me say it 100 times. But it's kind of like it's a nerdy moment for me, because I've always loved Guinness. Like, I was the kid reading the old Guinness books and the long fingernails and the, you know, the huge like fat guy in a cage.
One of us.
Like,
I haven't thought about that in a while, but I remember, I vividly remember the long fingernails picture in the books.
That's in every young child's mind, I think, forever. I think we're scarred on that one. And so it's kind of this cool full circle moment of like, oh wow, you know, it's cool that we're going to do this and we're going to do it for Bitcoin. And but it's interesting, right? Especially whenever you kind of like bring Bitcoin forward to some new business or whatever, because this record doesn't exist right now. So we're kind of starting like, you know, blank slate of like, okay, well, what is a good number? Of what should the number even be? And you know, we're talking now with like, there'll be official judge, you know, walking the floor there. And so it's always interesting when you have to sort of educate people on Bitcoin to sort of partake in these types of things. But yeah, you know, I think it's going to be really exciting. I think going back to the idea around showcase the technology is ready, and this is hat tip to, you know, Rockstar has been a big driver of this, is we've accepted Bitcoin at our events before. You know, we've received varying degrees on how that happens. You know, the one thing I think people miss is that, unfortunately, we are at the whim of the venue so many times. You know, it's a big conference. We got to go to these big conference halls. It's not like we can just, you know, pop up the Venetian and just start, you know, rolling out, you know, these like POS systems on Androids and start accepting Bitcoin. You know, what we learned about Vegas actually is Vegas actually has the casino business a little bit of an aversion to Bitcoin and like, you know, I guess crypto in general, because I think it's related to just gaming and how they have a monopoly on, hey, come here, this is where you gamble. And Bitcoin, right? You know, we talk about peer-to-peer currency and online gambling. Going back to the earlier use cases, it's actually how I got into Bitcoin, is through sports betting. They actually have an aversion to it because I think they see the disruption that it can cause their business. So it's funny as we talk to Venetian, and I do want to give them some credit because they're you know, accommodating this attempt and been pretty supportive, but there's a little bit of like, hey, can you guys like not talk about it so much, or like just do it but don't talk about it kind of thing, you know. So anyways, that's just kind of like a fun aside, but yeah, you know, I think to really make this work, this or the actual attempt to be successful, you know, Rockstar introduced us to the Bolt card, because which is, you know, the NFC card preloaded with Lightning, because we've accepted Bitcoin at our event, but there's usually a lot of friction because, oh, it's like, hey, have you downloaded your wallet? Do you have any like amount sort of stored on it, etc.? And it slows the process down. And so in you know, the interest of expediency, you know, I think the Bolt card is going to be this really exciting way to really accelerate this record attempt, really sort of go toe to toe, you know, with the folks in the line next to you trying to pay with their credit card. You know, it's not even just about showcasing the technology is ready. You know, I would love to showcase that, yeah, the technology is superior in terms of the experience. And I'll shut up and pass the mic to Rockstar. I just get very excited about this topic. One of the things, you know, to those critics who are kind of like, hey, dude, is Rockstar showing one of the cards? They're like, hey, man, like medium exchange is going to happen eventually. You know, what's the rush? You know, people will say that, like, well, if the experience isn't as good as, you know, swiping your credit card, or as good as spending in fiat, nobody's going to do it. And I think that is a fair criticism, right? You know, we are all sort of at the mercy of convenience. And so making transacting Bitcoin as easy, if not better, is absolutely critical. So I'll you know, pass the mic over to Rockstar.
Before Rockstar takes over, a couple points there. First of all, Mav21 zapped us 21,000 sats. Bitcoin is money. Thank you for supporting the show. I also got into Bitcoin through sports gambling, so it doesn't surprise me that they're worried about their monopoly. I mean, we were talking about Zoomers earlier. Like, Zoomers aren't going to travel to Vegas to gamble. They're going to use Bitcoin or, you know, or
Meme
shitcoins
coins.
to do so.
Mhm.
One thing, so I consulted for your organization for 3 years. We had an overlap. It was a pleasure working with you. But one thing I feel like Bitcoin Magazine doesn't get enough credit for, and specifically David Bailey, is he's obsessed with the idea of people spending Bitcoin. And I think people don't realize how much effort goes in behind the scenes to try and retrofit, large 20,000 person conferences for accepting Bitcoin. And every time, out of principle, I always want to spend Bitcoin at those events. And you're always looked at like the crazy person, and you're at a Bitcoin conference because there's so much more friction. Even at the teller, like the person who's managing the POS, like they'll roll their eyes. They're like, another guy wants to spend Bitcoin. Like it'd be so much easier if you just paid with Apple Pay. So I think these Bolt cards could be really interesting. Just for the listeners, the Bolt cards are these NFC Lightning cards where you just tap to pay, super seamless. I'm like a little bit torn on the idea of whether or not that will actually be how Bitcoin is used at scale, particularly because you have no idea how much money is getting withdrawn from your card. But for this particular situation, it makes a lot of sense to me. And now I'll pass it off to Rockstar. He has obviously gone through great lengths to make the Bolt cards flashy and exciting.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I always go back to simple fact. Like, if it's a Bitcoin conference, you have to be able to pay in Bitcoin. And you guys know, like Matt, Marty, you know how mainstream media has been dunking on us for years, especially in block size wars back in the day. Like, your Bitcoin event, but you can't pay with Bitcoin. Well, since then, we continued to work on technology. So now BTCPayServer, as this collection of FOSS technologies, allows you to host Bolt Card Bank. And then there are companies like Strike, like Fold, like Square that are working on Bitcoin as payments. And simply, we have gotten to the point where technology is ready. And you're right, Matt, that technically right now you don't have ability to look in detail and, like, when you're tapping Bolt Card, how much it's being taken off. But there is no reason why you can't have functionality from technological standpoint where you tap the Bolt Card and then on your phone you get a notification the same way you get the
Well,
notification when you pay with credit card.
I mean,
And
why even have the card in that situation? I mean, the bigger issue and
No, he's not
the
saying
bigger issue is
to initiate the
well, no,
transaction.
no, but my point is the bigger issue is that Apple makes it a pain in the ass to interact with NFC on iPhones, and people insist on using iPhones. But the holy grail is that you're just tapping your phone to pay. I think this is like the step before that. I mean, I think eventually Apple will actually have it directly in Apple Pay, where you just like load up Apple Pay with Bitcoin, and you can just
yes,
tap to pay anywhere Apple Pay is accepted. But
yes, but
in the
the reason,
meantime, these Bolt cards are a great stopgap. Is how I look at it. I'm not trying to like offend you, Rockstar.
no, no, no,
I
I'm
like
taking
using them. I
everything
like that the
personally.
eyes
No,
light up.
no, man, this is way cooler than a credit card, right? And my point on these is these will still be around because people will want to surf and not carry their phone. But while they're surfing on waves, they can have a Bolt card, in their pocket. They lose it, doesn't matter. But again, I think it's just this is what
Maybe.
we're waiting for user experience wise in Bitcoin, where you're not taking out your phone, scanning the QR code. You're rather just taking this card, tapping, laser eyes, and let's go.
So
So
right now you're displaying the Senator Lummis card. Is she
Yeah.
aware that she is going to be on a card?
No, no, we're hoping she won't,
We're,
be
we're
upset.
rebels
And
over here at BTC.
no, no, she
I,
is well aware. She's well aware, and we're very thankful to Senator Lummis for agreeing to join the campaign, as well the other two um, people that are joining us. I don't know if we want to break the news who they are.
We like breaking news here. Let's break it.
Before you break news, I think it's a nice full circle thing, because what was it, like 5 months ago? She was at PubKey and they had her on tape, and she paid in cash and said, "You save in Bitcoin, pay in cash." So hopefully, I assume there'll be a video of her tapping her own card and paying with Bitcoin at the event.
Yes, because we want to see that, because now when she has this Bolt card, she can have Bitcoin balance, save in Bitcoin, but make it as easy as like tap to pay. And I wish we had a Trump with his card. There was a Trump card last year in Nashville that we just gave him Bolt card, and instead of doing that whole scanning of QR code in PubKey, he just took the card and tapped and paid.
While we're talking about PubKey and talking about the scam of Bitcoin payments, he didn't even actually make that payment. That was Drew who made that payment.
Oh,
Hey,
took his phone.
Let's go.
Drew was like holding the phone for him and scanning it for him.
There are a lot of cameras around. The president's got a lot on his mind. Sometimes you need help with that.
But he could have done it with a Bolt card. With a Bolt card, I think he would have been able to make that payment.
Well,
on his own.
BTCPayServer, the three of us were there in last August or September. Baltic Honey Badger. You've really been with that conference specifically battle testing this, and I think it was massively successful. Were there any lessons learned from that you're going to apply in Vegas next month or next couple of weeks? Excuse me.
Tons of lessons, and kudos not only to Baltic Honey Badger but Bitcoin Atlantis, is because every conference we use BTCPayServer as a payment processor. Something gets added, something gets improved. Again, Nashville last year with Trump being there, like being such a huge conference, we asked Strike to help with infrastructure. So now anyone that has a Strike account and wants to create point of sale, they can easily do that, and that's thanks to Strike. UMAT also helped their Bitcoin conference in Nashville. So what I love about BTCPayServer and FOSS in general is, as we develop these technologies, it's not that they end up some closed source stack, but they get open sourced and are then used by everyone. So again, kudos to Baltic Honey Badger, kudos to Bitcoin Atlantis, all the other conferences, because every time we do this, we improve the technology.
So I also hope it actually creates sorry. I was gonna say, I hope also this, because this is the first time this record's been set, it's sort of, now it's like, I hope all conferences are like, all right, that's a new mark. And I hope every year everyone goes out to beat this record, because I think at the end of the day, that's obviously going to be great for Bitcoin if, we just have this flywheel effect of conferences trying to one up each other. I don't think that, I never envisioned that being the pathway of how, Bitcoin becomes a medium exchange, but I think at least everyone constantly moving the ball forward and having a little competitive spirit around it, I think is going to be a good thing.
It's a great deal for the Guinness Book of World Records too, if they get contracted to break the record over and over again. Rockstar, on that note, so in Riga, the cards were handed out to people. How are you guys handling distribution for this conference? Like, how does that look?
Yeah, we first need to premiere all the designs, and then we will see per design how they will be distributed. But I can't wait, honestly. Like, it will be so much fun. And as Dee said, we set the record, then, as you say, Guinness is licensed every conference to break the record. I can't wait for Ripple and shitcoiners to join. They'll be like 10,000 transactions per second at our conference, so
yeah. I will say, and maybe it's my doom feed that's misleading me, but I feel like since we've announced this, most of the feed or the engagement I'm seeing is from, the sort of like shitcoin sphere of people saying, oh, why are you doing it with Bitcoin? Oh, you should be doing it with, I don't know, whatever. And so it's because that's always right. The slight to Bitcoin right now from the kind of like peanut gallery is that it's just corporate coin. It's never going to be used. So like, I think all the more reason why I'm excited to sort of spotlight, this and showing that, it can be used in this format. And then Matt, in terms of your question, around like how he planned distributing them, Rockstar's, he's right. We're still kind of, it's like all things event planning. We don't figure out things till like literally like the morning of, as you're well aware, as we know, when you're helping support the event. And the, but the one thing we're going to do is we're going to preload these cards with at least, I think Rockstar are thinking about like $10 of Bitcoin on each one.
Drink.
And just handing them out, and we have to figure out like how we'll go about it, but like these will be just given to people because we want everyone to participate, because that's the other thing. This isn't like a BTC Inc. Bitcoin Magazine of record. Like this is a community effort. This is everybody who's participating in it. This is gonna be a shared endeavor, and we're actually gonna be handing out these like commemorative like pins that just say like record holder. It's a little kind of like a little nod that this is going to be a shared attempt from the community for those that, really are, that want to sort of, walk the walk around Bitcoin becoming a media exchange, and not just sort of sitting idle and saying, oh, it's just going to happen at some point. So we want to definitely make sure this is shared.
And presumably, like, people can still pay with just a Bitcoin wallet app, right? And just like scan a QR code.
Yeah, we're gonna do like a know before you go. The one thing I think people forget too, we got a little bit of heat on Nashville because we like to report out how many Bitcoin transactions there were, and I think we had 25,000 people in Nashville, and our Bitcoin transaction count relative to that wasn't very impressive. I think people forget that period. Like that was like 2 months after the chilling effect, where I think IBEX left, a Phoenix wallet left. Yeah, like Lightning, like in America, Wallet Satoshi, I think was already long gone. That was like in January, I think, of 24. So like all of the kind of popular, granted some of these are custodial wallets as well. They all kind of exit stage left, and this isn't a slight to them. I mean, like I said, there's a chilling effect. I think that was following the Samurai incident. So
correct.
So fortunately, however people feel politically or whatever is totally fine. But, I will say with the current environment, everyone's kind of coming back. Like I think Phoenix now is available again in the US. So we'll be able to provide a know before you go, email to all of our attendees on which Lightning wallets will work, et cetera, and really encourage people that, beyond the Bolt card, you can use, a Lightning wallet, whether it's custodial, whether it's, your account on Cash App, whatever you want, whatever you're comfortable with. You'll be much better prepared, I think, this time around, because I think there's more options this time around.
Yeah, and there is a big thing that a Bitcoin conference attracts a lot of people, including a lot of people that are new to space and they don't necessarily have a Lightning wallet on their phone. So for people that do, okay, great, you're already set up. But for people that don't have Bitcoin on Lightning, they just come to the official merch store. We will have multiple designs, and they say, hey, like I have, I want to get a card. I want to get some kind of balance on this card. And then they use that card across the venue. Super easy for them. They don't need to set up a Lightning wallet and write down seed words. They have this balance. And plus, they're now incentivized that after the conference ends, they do set up a Lightning wallet and sweep the balance. Yeah. Especially because we will have a nice collectible with not only Cynthia alumnus, but other two people.
All right. So let's get down to brass tacks here. What's our goal? How many transactions do we think? I mean, let's say.
All right. Raksha, I was thinking about this. I think this is the breaking news, because we've been a little bit hush on some other calls, things like that, because I don't think I was going to front run us at this point. Or if you do, God bless you. I mean, so the number is 4,000. So we have to do 4,000 transactions in an 8-hour window.
8 hours?
Yeah. Okay. 8 hours. And so we're going to be doing it on Wednesday, May 28th. That's GA day 1. And me and Rockstar, I mean, we've been like, whiteboarding this quite a bit, because for Guinness, we don't have to tell them when the clock start. We don't have to in advance say when we start. It's just once we start, we start. We don't have to say in advance, like, hey, we're going to start at 9 a.m. It's going to be 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. It's just that we just say, we tap the judge on the shoulder, say, all right, start the 8-hour clock. And Wednesday's gonna be tricky because we have JD Vance, I think, speaking at 9 a.m. So if anyone experienced Nashville last year, Trump was like 30 minutes late. So I can't imagine that we're going to be Johnny on the spot on time with Vance. And so we have to navigate some of the nuance of Vance, the security stuff. I mean, we were even talking about like, hey, do we just, people wait in line? We just like, walk around the point of sale and just like sell people coffees, beers, and
get a guy with a beer. Get like a baseball beer guy.
You need a really low cost item. You need some item that costs like 50 cents.
Well,
like
that's our so the
sats.
commemorative pin. Yeah, the commemorative pin, I think we're going to sell for like, 10 sats, something very sort of like inconsequential because all it has to be for the judges, if the judges at Guinness are listening in right now, I think they'd agree with me. It just has to be a transaction, but it has to be for actual goods or services. It can't just be like peer to peer. It can't be D and Rockstar in the corner and saying like, all right, we're just like volleying like Let's transactions back and forth. Right.
No, but
so 4,000.
We got this.
We got to pump. We got to pump. We're gonna blow 4,000 out of the water. I want to see 100,000. It's 25x this.
Yeah. Go ahead, Rockstar.
I think this is where I wanted to say that another bolt card design will be Michael Saylor. So when Michael Saylor does medium of exchange transaction with laserized bolt card, and people see that, it will be like, okay, let's go. Everyone will want to do it. It's just, can you get Saylor's bolt card? But because we only have 1,000 of them. So
are you going to get him to pay on stage during his keynote?
I won't, but I. Shout
you
out
should
to
have
Mike
someone send a zoomer up. Send a zoomer up during his keynote with a POS and a pin, and sell him a pin on stage.
Even better, right when we're at 3,999, he actually breaks the record. That I think is what we should be aiming for. And then the headline is Michael Saylor sets Guinness World Record of Bitcoin transactions. So it's interesting to come up with that number because it was a new record. Is we just have to give Guinness like data from like other events of like what we generally think because we didn't want to set the bar so low that it was just this very kind of like, oh, well, okay, 10 transactions, who cares? But I will say 4,000 is going to be tricky. It's going to be a challenge based on the data that we've seen. We've got a lot of point of sale systems all scattered across the venue. Obviously, have the merch store. We've activated F&B there at on the showroom floor. There's the Chain Duel arcade for those that have seen it. The arcade game that I can't his name's escaping me, and so I'm totally Pedro. Shout out to him, Pedro. That's right. So we got the Chain Duel arcade game. What's up?
Pedro and Francis. Francis
that's right, it's Francis.
Well. But you're right. Yeah. It's like 4,000 transactions in 8 hours. That's 500 per hour.
What was the number in Nashville?
9.
I mean, Roger, I think we did 800.
Yeah, way lower.
Across 3 days, though. That's also
across 3 days.
Marty gets very excited about these things.
We're gonna do it. You guys are bearish. Come on,
Marty's gonna have like 800 pins. He's gonna be like that guy from.
I will be sure.
Yeah, Office Space, the Flare.
I've got to be careful because we've got a cocktail event for 1031 at that night. But like F&B, if F&B's accepting Bitcoin for payment, I could see myself making 4 or 5 transactions throughout the day.
Marty,
that's it.
No. I got him point of sale. We got him all pins, and then people approach Marty, and then he sells them a pin. Here we go.
Okay. I can make money while setting this record too. The pins are double the cost that they come from Marty Bent.
There we go. Agree, 100%.
Signed pins.
No, but on this, I love this initiative personally because I agree with you, D, that I think the denigration of Bitcoin as a medium of exchange today is unwarranted. And as you mentioned, Rockstar, the technology is there. Like I was running the numbers. I'm sure you guys saw me earlier. It looked like I was being rude, but I was just running the calculation. We launched the merch store for this hat, tftcmerch.io, if you want to buy it. And 77% of the hats that have been bought via the Lightning Network. So like people obviously we have an audience that is filled with Bitcoiners, but I think it's proof. It's a very small sample size, but people are spending Bitcoin. And I think one of the mechanisms that is not forcing people, but incentivizing people to pay with Lightning is I put a premium on fiat. And people are like, all right, I don't want to pay 5% more for this hat. Like, I'll just use the Lightning Network, and it works flawlessly.
Oh, well, even better than that is just don't accept dollars, like the Civil Dispatch merch store.
Oh, all right, you got to one up. Got to try one.
Then you have no choice.
I'd love to try and do that at the conference, just to see just the absolute outrage that we'd probably encounter from like the average sort of normie. But yeah, but
honestly,
incentives, yeah, Marty.
If the unions didn't stop him, Bailey would have done that. That's like a classic Bailey move. All the employees would be fucking furious. There'd be a shit ton of support requests. It'd be an absolute mess. But if he could, I wouldn't be surprised he would do it.
Well, yeah, I love David, so I feel like I can say this, not out of turn, but like David is notoriously, he will do those things, and he's like, my team will figure it out and deal with it. So we're the bugs that hit the windshield of the David Bailey Express, is how I sometimes characterize it. But yeah, Marty, on incentives, like you're spot on, and we're going to be doing that on the floor. So not only is it the 20, I think it's a 21% discount for the merch, but even on the F&B, there's a fast lane. Like if you're paying Bitcoin, you get to go you go in the front of the line. And so I think even
that's
that,
awesome.
yeah. So one, in spirit of like, we want to get those transaction counts. I don't want the person who wants to pay in Bitcoin sitting like 7th in the queue. I want them to go to the front. And I kind of want that little head turn moment for the people with the credit card. Like, hey, what's going on over here? It's like, yeah, you need a Bolt card? Do you want the Lightning wallet, or you want to sit there with your Amex and wait in line?
That's a good idea. I love that.
Yeah. So we'll see. I mean, I think everyone's always very friendly and cordial. I don't think, hopefully, that doesn't create any friction. But if it does, yeah, pay in Bitcoin.
Will there be an announcement at the conference when the clock starts? Will we all know? Because I don't want to be out there spending before the clock starts. You know.
Yeah, maybe that's a great point. Yeah, Rockstar. So we're still kind of locking in some of these details. I know, like, only thing that's planned, I think we're doing kind of like a mid-launch sort of check-in. I think our live stream will have a live counter. To just kind of see how we're progressing, or lack thereof. Hopefully it's the former. But I think absolutely we need to kind of like blow a horn or do something so everyone knows.
We
like,
get
right,
Marty to ring the bell.
I'll ring the bell.
Right. I'm a man of few ideas. Just get Vance, bring a point of sale up on stage with Vance, and have him do the first payment.
First one.
I love that. Wow. I think that's it. Man of ideas.
That is a great idea. Yeah, I think let's see if we can make that happen. We'll talk to David.
You just got to hand him a card, point to tap, buy a pen.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah. It's the redemption from the Trump pub key moment. Yeah, Vance will be the.
Hey, let's not poo-poo the Trump pub key moment. It was a great moment. There's a lot of cameras, a lot of lights.
To be clear, it's less me poo-pooing Trump and more me giving a proper shout out to our boy Drew Armstrong.
Okay.
Who made the historical payment.
You got to help your boomers out, okay? You gotta help them out.
In the spirit of pumping up this event, which should be a very special event, Bitcoin in Space 2 zapped us 21,000 sats because Bitcoin is money, and asked, can he bring his kids to the live RHR in a couple weeks, or is it 21 and plus? Before I hand it off to Marty, first of all, I will not be attending this event for family reasons. Nothing to do with the event. It'll be the first Bitcoin magazine conference that I have not attended. So it will not be a live RHR. It is a Marty pub key spectacular. I'm not sure exactly what they have
doing
planned.
A variety show. I've got to host a variety show. I've never done this before. It's going to be a lot of fun, though.
So is it 21 plus, or are kids allowed?
Mike Germano, you may need to help me out with this. I would imagine it's 21 plus due to the venue.
I would just say that last time in Nashville, it was awesome. We had a 600 person sold out crowd in an awesome Nashville bar music venue. And PubKey told us to tell everyone that it was family friendly. And the guy who they paid to roast us in the beginning told the kids in the front row that they should have been aborted. So
it was a hot open.
No promises over here.
Yeah. We don't have David Lucas roasting. We thought he was going to be roasting the crowd. He did with the first joke, but then his ire
he
quickly
literally
turned to
roasted
being
the
mad.
children. He roasted the children in the front row, and then proceeded to roast us after that.
Yeah. Go find that out. There's the PUBG guys have the Luma link on their Twitter. So go check it out. It's gonna be a fun night Tuesday night. It's gonna be a fun week. I've got a panel discussion Thursday afternoon, and most importantly, we're gonna set the Guinness Book of World Records for most transactions in one physical location in one day. 4,000. If we can't get there, I'm gonna be severely disappointed in anybody attending.
It's gonna be a bummer. It's gonna be a bummer. You see that when you drop the gauntlet, it's like, man, there's nothing to do it, but there's nothing to do but to beat it because it, like, when you have that spotlight that I've been kind of talking about, the spotlight of showing that the technology is ready, it'd be kind of a bummer if we didn't get it. But I feel good. I feel good about, I know the community is going to show up well, and I know people are going to get excited to do it. So, I'm confident.
Everyone wants to be a rock star until it's time to be a rock star. So we got this.
But Rockstar, if you spend your Bitcoin, you got to pay capital gains tax. Numbers going up. Why would you spend your Bitcoin?
Sorry, Marty, way ahead of you. Like I, coded the back end of this great the company called Strike, so you can hold dollar balance and then you can pay without creating taxable events.
Yeah. Hey, if you're worried about that, Deloitte's got a booth. Go walk over to them after you swipe your Bolt card, and you can talk to them about it. If that's something that's really keeping people up at night.
The Deloitte booth is going to be popping.
Shout out to Deloitte booth. Yeah.
I just spent my Bitcoin. Do you have any tax advice, Trevor?
Right.
All right. Anything else we should cover about setting the record? Bitcoin
Conference,
Las Vegas. Anything?
What should we be excited about, gentlemen?
Oof. Yeah, I mean, I feel like, of course, with Vance, and there's obviously not, pretty heavy kind of political component to the event again. But I feel like I definitely encourage people to go through the agenda because, I mean, the programming is pretty loaded beyond just that. Even before I worked, I would actually hang out more at the open source stage. And I usually encourage most people to do that are interested. Like it's a huge venue, right? It's, if you're not interested in certain things, it's not like you're just like held captive there. I mean, we have, there's so much programming for all sort of like walks of life as it relates to Bitcoin. And, I'm sure there's going to be a lot of panels around, a lot of the discussion around OP return and all that stuff that I've kind of zoned out on only because I've just kind of been heads down focused on things I can control.
You're very lucky.
Are you doing are you doing simulated boating accidents in the fake canals?
Dude, we gotta talk. Yeah, I mean, these ideas are. I'm like, damn, that's another fire idea. How do we not think about it? At the Venetian, the gondola ride, boating accident? Oh man,
I worked with Bailey for 3 years. These ideas, I can't help myself.
They're good. I'm not being sarcastic. I think these are good ideas. We need to start. I'm going to talk to the team right after this call.
I mean, if Vance doesn't open with the first transaction, I'm going to be disappointed. I think that's
Jokes aside, this will be the first year that there's a BitDevs on the open source stage. Usually there is a BitDevs aligned with the conference, but it's separate. This will be the first time there's actually a BitDevs at the conference, which I'm pretty excited about.
Jay will be there. Jay, the BitDevs OG.
The godfather of BitDevs.
Yeah. Shout out to Jay. I helped a little bit there. Hopefully Jay gives some shout out back. But no, to me, with this, every Bitcoin conference every year, I tell to people like it levels you up. And this will be like what, my fifth one. It's just crazy when you come and there are like so many great events. Like Marty, you mentioning Variety Show with Germano. Like, people should come there, and then the moments you will create together with other Bitcoiners, they will get you to a better place. Then you have JD Vance, you have all the politicians, you have shitcoiners joining us, you have tons of different like side events. You see that people are now Steak and Shake announced that it's starting to accept Bitcoin. So there is a Steak and Shake location near Venetian where Bitcoiners are now, okay, we're going to go there. Then Mandrake organizing Fogo de Chao pleb dinner. So tons of stuff happening. And if you're not having fun, then just find Uncle Rockstar. Like I'll get you into some parties. Like I got Matt on a wedding on Miami Beach in 2021.
It is Vegas.
No,
It's
it is.
Vegas.
I just strongly disagree with your tradition of weddings at conferences, but Vegas is perfect for that.
The
infrastructure is already set up.
It's perfect for it, but like, hey, all you Bitcoiners out there, be worried. Like, if you don't sign a prenup and you go and you go get a shotgun wedding, in Vegas, could
that's
end up
illegal
problematic
wedding
for you. Yeah, it is a legal wedding.
I forgot to announce I am officiating a wedding, but it's crazy good venue. It's invite only. So Marty, you're invited. I'll send you the details because venue is insane.
Wow.
So there is that event as well. Like I'm officiating a wedding again.
Okay. Has a prenup been signed? Or is this true love?
No, this is true love. This is true love.
Okay. All right. It's good to know. That's good to know. It is, I mean, we've told this story many times, but it is crazy reflecting on the first Bitcoin conference, Bitcoin 2019, in the parking garage in San Francisco, and where we are, like 6 years isn't that long? That's crazy. We're in Vegas.
Yeah, you got skip
Vice President speaking. So. Yeah.
2021, it was for me,
Yeah, 2019, I think 1,000 people on that rooftop garage, and now 25. I mean, the Venetian Expo, it's like it's the crown. It's like it's the pinnacle of, like, conference venues, and of course Vegas is the entertainment capital of the world. So like it's definitely like I don't want to say zero, because there's a lot of people that 2019 conference is still their favorite one. So I unfortunately
was awesome.
Yeah. So that's the hard thing to always bottle is like the smaller events.
I mean, that was the only one where the Bitcoin price was pumping during the conference. Like people would leave, and that's something that obviously can't be controlled by conference organizers, but like people would leave the stage and then the price would go on in between panels and we'd be up a ton. We'd be up like 5% in between talks. And so that was always very special. And then me and Marty ended it with RHR on the roof. And I told everyone to market buy at $13,000. And that was the 2-year local top. And so for 2 years, so all you haters out there that keep reminding me that I said 200K by conference day, just remember that there was a bunch of haters that were giving me shit for telling them to buy Bitcoin at $13,000 for years after that event.
Yeah, well, you say conference organizers can't control the price. Well, I wish you would. I think people would disagree with you. I think everyone's convinced the Bitcoin conference there's this scheme, and the reasons have been hilarious. Like, people are selling their Bitcoin to go to the Bitcoin conference. I was like, that's not moving. First of all, I don't think that's actually really happening. And second, that's not moving the price. But I've seen these like hypotheses around that. I'm like, come on, people. Like, let's
this one silly. But, this one might be the first one since 2019 where it pumps during the conference.
Let's fingers crossed. Let's not jinx it. I think Nashville. We were pumping into Nashville, and I think then the floor dropped again.
I think 150K is in play by the end of Thursday night. If I'm being honest, I think.
Oh man, can you think of a worse city for Bitcoiners to be in for the price to pump very hard? Like the exuberance of people and the paper gains in their mind, and that's the worst city for, I think, the Bitcoin price to pump, to have 40,000.
You're probably right.
Yeah, be careful, everybody. Okay,
they're gonna see that bull card.
Just
those strippers gonna see the bull card, and then you're getting married.
You're getting married. Not signing a prenup. Hey, everybody, keep your head on a swivel out there. Okay, it's gonna be fun. We're gonna have a lot of fun. We're gonna set records. Vice President's going to make a transaction. Michael's going to bookend. You're going to have JD Vance, Michael Saylor, start of the record, end of the record. We're going to blow through 4,000. It's going to be beautiful. Be careful, okay? I've never been to Vegas before because I know there's a little animal inside of me that looks at Vegas and says, I don't know if I want to let him out of the cage there. It's going to be my first time there. So if you see Uncle Marty at the conference, make sure he's keeping that animal in him caged up, okay?
Oh man, you're in for a real treat. I mean, the thing that's scaring me the most is I've been there a ton. Actually, I grew up there, but obviously growing up there, it's not the same experience as kind of being a grown adult. I'm worried because I think I'm there for 5-6 nights, which is, everyone would tell you that's like way too many nights to be in Las Vegas. Like Vegas, you use normally 2 to 3 nights and you're good. So but for those that haven't been there, I mean, it's definitely not a lack of things to do. But keeping your head on a swivel is the right, I think, approach. So I think Marty, despite not being there, I think you already have good advice.
Yeah, it's like, I know myself. Yeah, gentlemen, can't wait to see you in person in a couple weeks. It's crazy how quickly it's coming up. It's a week from next Monday. I'll be flying to Vegas. So
11 days, right?
yeah.
Yeah, it'll be fun.
Did I do that math wrong?
27th
to 29th, 12 days.
You did the math wrong.
Yep.
Just want it noted. Yeah. All right. Last call to action before you guys exit stage left and stage right to go finish buttoning up the fine details of this conference.
Yeah, I'd say bring your Lightning wallets, make sure they're loaded, and let's go set a world record.
Let's set the world record, and as Marty loves to say, we will win.
We will win.
Get
We're winning.
ready for that.
We're winning.
Love it.
Gentlemen.
Much love, guys. Best
Thank you
of
for
luck.
joining us.
Good seeing you guys. Appreciate it. Peace.
See you in Vegas. Boom. What is going on with this, Logan? Why do I have the bars? Why can't we?
Because I have you framed so that you're rectangular in the multi-shot.
This looks weird. This looks weird. This looks like... I'm kidding. I'm messing with you. You don't have to do anything.
No, you should fix him. He's so subjugated here on the screen.
I am. There's a hierarchy to this view right now. There we go.
There we go. Now I feel like we're equals.
Yes.
Soap miners just zapped 21,000 sats because Bitcoin is money and Nostr is the largest Bitcoin circular economy in the world. Soap miner, the only soap used in my household.
I still have to pick up the soap. I've been using like goat milk soap. It's really good. It just dissolves very quickly.
His is tallow soap. It's great.
I like tallow soap.
My son ran into the shower and it was hilarious. I'm trying to pick up that bar soap. It had so much fucking difficulty.
It's creased out.
Flying all over the place. Yeah.
This is fun. I'm more excited for the Bitcoin conference than I was after. I didn't realize we were going for the
what do you still have tickets available for your event?
I think so. I think we
'Cause
limited tickets
you've done a
going
poor
out.
job of shilling it.
It's and that is on me. We've got a week to go, but Logan, here is the link. It's
Is it not an easy to say link?
No, it's like a Luma link.
That's lame. That's a fail.
Yeah.
Why don't you read the link out for all of us? All the audio freaks.
lu.ma/gn9uoj6b. Check it out.
No, it's not as bad as I thought it was.
No, the VIP tickets are sold out. We've got one more of the sailor seats available, and GA tickets still going $50 a pop. It's gonna be a fun week in Vegas.
You pay in Bitcoin?
How did they? No, you cannot. That is because of the venue. The venue is dictating the point of sale system. So unfortunately,
really great cap on the beginning of our conversation. Really good moment to transition.
Hey, you can go to tftcmerch.io and pay for a hat in Bitcoin. But regardless, back to news. There were some things that happened this week. Most notably, this morning, Coinbase came out and announced that one of their
let's read
employees.
Clark Moody's dashboard.
Clark's dashboard.
Clark's order of operations here. This
All
is it's a new podcast now.
The current price of Bitcoin is 102,920 cuckbucks. One cuckbuck's going to get you 972 sats. 3-figure sats per cuckbuck. We're back over $2 trillion market cap at 2.04 trillion. We're looking at block height 896,865, which means we are 255 blocks away from the next difficulty adjustment, estimated to be on May 17th. So this Saturday, Central United States time. Blocks looking like an upwards adjustment of 2.7%. Blocks been coming in at 9 minutes and 45 seconds on average. There are currently 4,035 transactions in Clark's teeny weeny mempool. Actually, it's well endowed now. He fixed it. Currently looking at 4,114 transactions in mempool's mempool, 2 sats per VByte across the board. Good time to make a transaction on chain if you're looking to do that. And if you're doing
Love
that,
it.
hopefully you're doing it from a self-custodial wallet, and not from Coinbase. Coinbase had a what would you call it? A malicious employee attack?
Yeah. One of their one or a few of their customer service reps exposed sensitive customer information to malicious actors, who then proceeded to phish their users. And it appears some users got scammed into sending them Bitcoin. At the very least, because Coinbase is saying that they're reimbursing those that have. They also got hit with an extortion attempt for $20 million for them not to release the information. But Coinbase is refusing the extortion attempt and is instead offering a $20 million reward for their identification and capture. It is clever by Coinbase to frame this as almost like a positive or a win. I mean, the title, if you're an audio only, the title of their blog post is "Protecting Our Customers, Standing Up to Extortionists." Obviously, the seed of this issue is KYC, Know Your Customer regulation, in the name of anti-money laundering. Obviously, we've talked about this many times in the past. KYC regulations don't actually stop criminals from doing money laundering. They just put innocent people at risk. Criminals will use bought or faked information or stolen information to conduct their money laundering, while average people, honest people, get caught up in the crosshairs when their intimate personal information is leaked. Now, there's another piece to this as well, which is that obviously customer service personnel have access to a lot of this private information in the way Coinbase operates. And those appear to be not well-vetted people located abroad, most likely being paid very low wages. So I think this really highlights that a lot of times when you're building out these businesses, the weak point is the humans that you hire and how you vet them and how you compensate them and how you make sure the incentives are aligned with the customer and with the company. So, I mean, this is scary to see, I think, for a lot of Coinbase users, and it should be. It should be a just another alarm bell for any user of a trusted third party or of a regulated service that has your intimate personal information in Bitcoin and beyond. But I think it is also important to clarify here, because I've gotten some fear-based text messages.
I had my mom text me on air. She's like, "Are you on Coinbase? You guys okay?" I was like, "No, Mom, don't worry."
Yeah, this is mostly unrelated to funds being at risk. Like the funds that were at risk were people that got emails or phone calls and were tricked into sending funds. But yeah, it's not like they got hacked and had their wallets drained.
No, and this is coming the same week. I don't know if you have it on the list. Haven't read the whole thing yet, but the daughter of a crypto exchange was targeted in a kidnapping attempt in Paris earlier this week. So,
well, he was there too.
Was it him too? Wasn't
it?
Who? I thought it was her boyfriend. I'm not sure. I saw the video.
No, it was her husband. She's pregnant, and they had their 2-year-old, and the husband was there, and I think the husband either runs the exchange or was affiliated with the exchange. They haven't released, I mean, rightfully so, the names haven't been released or the exchange in question. But 4 masked guys on the streets of Paris in broad daylight tried to abduct them, which is scary as fuck. And is a worrying trend that we've seen specifically in France, where there's been multiple of these types of attacks in France.
Yeah. Got to stay frosty out there. I mean, the bringing this back to KYC, it's exhausting. We've talked about these data leaks probably dozens of times at this point over the last 7 years. Like, how many of these need to happen before the policy of the Bank Secrecy Act and its implications on compliance protocols for companies subjected to the Bank Secrecy Act is reevaluated? Like, is it actually achieving the goals it set out to achieve in 1970? And actually, I had Zach Shapiro from Bitcoin Policy Institute on earlier this week to talk about the Samurai case and update on that, but part of the conversation was around the Bank Secrecy Act, and he gave a pretty in-depth history of why it was passed in the first place, and it was in relation to basically mob bosses in the mafia and their sending of funds to Swiss banks and them not being able to track that. And I think it's safe to say that's not as big of a problem today as it was back then. And the bigger problem is forcing all these companies to collect it and hold this information insecurely and putting individuals at risk. And another point on the Coinbase thing is, to your point about like the framing of the blog post, a very good PR spin that they put there, but also it's like it's only affected less than 1% of our clients, but who makes up that 1%, less than 1%? Like they probably went after like a list of whales on the platform.
Yeah, my guess, and also older people.
Yeah,
is my guess. Based on what I see from 1031 portfolio companies' internal data, a lot of the targets are older individuals, who tend to have more money and also tend to be easier to deceive. On that note, first of all, I would probably argue that the problem that the Bank Secrecy Act attempted to solve, or at least pretended to solve, still exists today and is probably bigger than ever, but it doesn't solve the problem. Like, it doesn't actually solve anything in terms of stopping criminal activity in terms of the financial system. I think I'm cautiously optimistic for the first time in my life that we actually can repeal the Bank Secrecy Act. You mentioned
Why do you say that?
Shapiro. Bitcoin Policy Institute is on the front lines there in terms of, because I think people are starting to wake up and realize that it's ineffective and bad for America. I think it's a national security issue. I think you're putting Americans at risk for no benefit, unless you count controlling the populace as a benefit, which there are definitely many corrupt politicians and bureaucrats, but I think there's also many that don't want to see the American people hurt. And there's decent traction there. So that would be best case scenario. But then also you brought up this abduction attempt in France. And there's some interesting tangents there, or connections there with this, right? Well, first of all, obviously, them being identified and known to be related to Bitcoin is presumably the main reason they were targeted. And then the second piece is, in France, they have really strict gun regulations, but somehow the criminals still had a gun, but the people that were trying to protect themselves didn't have a gun. So it's a very similar situation to what we see with KYC AML laws, which the criminals get around it, but the innocent people are put at risk. And in this case, not only did the attackers have a gun, they were run off by someone with a fire extinguisher. Like, that's what the laws ended up, that situation, how that ended up. The last thing I would just put out there, obviously, as a public Bitcoiner, this is something I think about a lot and take very seriously in terms of criminal threats and whatnot. But I think there is an element here where I think people don't realize that I think it applies to all publicly known wealthy people, not just Bitcoiners. And why do I say that? I say that because in a post-Bitcoin world where Bitcoin is a great money for using for ransoms, because you can send it without permission and it can't be seized or blocked easily. Like, you have to actually find the person and force them to give you the money back. In terms of criminal usage. I think most rich people will just be expected to be able to obtain Bitcoin if they don't have Bitcoin. So you find a celebrity, and you just assume that, you know, given the situation, they can pay a ransom with Bitcoin. They can figure it out. They can go and source some Bitcoin. And what is the corollary there? The corollary there is all the ransomware attacks. Like, it's not like ransomware attackers are attacking hospitals that have Bitcoin treasuries. Most hospitals don't have Bitcoin treasuries. They just hit them and tell them, now go get Bitcoin and pay me Bitcoin. So I don't think this is something that is unique to Bitcoiners. I think this is a side effect of having a money that is not controlled by third parties, and it impacts all wealthy people, not just those that are Bitcoiners.
Yeah, heavy stuff. Never like to touch on this topic, but considering the headlines of the week, it would be remiss of us to gloss over them, but completely agree. Don't want to say mandibles, but considering where we are in the geopolitical macroeconomic landscape, like, this is why push-pull is like a public-facing Bitcoiner. Like, Matt and I talk about this all the time, the trade-offs of being public-facing versus just acquiring Bitcoin and shutting up and not telling anybody. But there is sort of this push-pull of people need this technology to solve the systemic problems that exist that are driving people to crime. Not saying that Bitcoin is going to eliminate all crime, but I do think desperate people do desperate things. And if we can use Bitcoin to create a better economic system that respects people's time and value, and they're able to save that in an asset that actually appreciates in value over time, then less people will be as desperate.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like a bit of a reach to me. I would say to Bitcoiners and non-Bitcoiners, if you have something to lose, you should spend a lot of time working on how to protect it and being very deliberate and not being a soft target.
Get to the range.
And protect yourself.
Yeah. All right, on to more optimistic headlines. OpenSats, 11th wave of Bitcoin grants to developers working to bring you technology that makes it easier to use Bitcoin. I'll let you take it away from here, sir.
Look, we're just grinding it out. The grants will continue until morale improves. It's, trends come and go or whatever, but OpenSats is just a long-term, forever grind. Every month we work on our payouts. Every day we're reviewing applications. And just proud to have more projects supported here. I'll just highlight one. We announced new ones and renewals. I'll highlight one, which is the 256 Foundation, which is led by Econo Alchemist. I think they're doing really great work in terms of open source mining infrastructure. I think they're making massive progress compared to even just a year ago or 2 years ago. They have a very novel structure where they basically have 5 projects that they're almost project managing that they think are good for open source mining. And it goes in line with our philosophy at OpenSats, which is, while OpenSats is trying to scale large, big, and transparent and hyper efficient, we would love to see more organizations out there. And specifically what we're seeing a lot of is more organizations that are based on very, very focused things and a little bit more niche and more focused. So in that regard, we would love to see, 1,000 flowers bloom in terms of other organizations out there supporting the open source movement.
Hell yeah. Let's do it. Let's do it. Shout out to OpenSats. Shout out to all the open source developers out there building tools. Love that PayJoin. Dev Kit's getting some more love.
Yeah, that's another example of an organization that is very hyper-focused. I had Dan Gould on Citadel Dispatch a couple of weeks ago. If you haven't listened to that, you should give it a listen. I'm very grateful to have him working in the Bitcoin space. We also have Paulie in the Nostr live chat, rhr.tv/stream, zapped us 21,000 sats, saying, "This is why we Bitcoin. Thank you, Satoshi." Thank you, Paulie, for supporting the show.
Thank you, Paulie. On the note of PayJoin, I don't think we talked about this last week, but I had Dusty Damon on the news desk during BTC++ day 2. And obviously we talked about splicing. Splicing's really cool, beginning to get implemented or already implemented in Phoenix, Async, Eclair, LDK. He said is like 50% of the way there on splicing. But he had this really interesting idea for it's like a coin join coordination standard that involves the Lightning Network, where you'd basically create a standard protocol where people could listen to a gossip network that is, and I might be butchering this description, but I think I'm going
Probably
the right
are.
path. That would basically try to discern when people are trying to rebalance channels on the Lightning Network and basically say, all right, let's do a pay join like coin join. And so you can sort of do batch transactions with people rebalancing Lightning channels as you're spending to basically improve privacy of the whole network, which I thought was a pretty novel idea.
Yeah, I love that because, I mean, most people when they're opening or closing Lightning channels, they don't need them to be done right away. It's not necessarily a time-sensitive thing. It could take a period of time. They can have a window, right? And if they can do a multi-party transaction, well, every Lightning open and close is technically multi-party. It's just two people. It's the two channel parties. But a larger multi-party transaction to get privacy and transaction cost benefits, then that just seems like a net win for everybody. And on that note, I actually don't have it on the list, but I saw it in passing. Peach Bitcoin released their group hug feature, which has been in development for a bit now. And that has a similar concept, right? So that is the idea of a large batch self-custody transaction that in this case primarily gives the users transaction fee benefits, so cheaper transactions. But it also has the ability to give you additional privacy benefits in that situation. And that's another example, right? Where it's, okay, I'm making a P2P Bitcoin buy or sell, right? Because it's P2P, so there's always a seller for every buyer. And I'm not so time sensitive on it. Like I need the trade to be executed in a time sensitive manner, but the settlement of the custody doesn't have to actually happen right away. And I'm willing to wait a little bit to do a mass multi-party transaction to get benefits out of it.
Yeah. And talking to Dusty about, shout out to Peach for getting group hug out there. Like this whole concept too, many people don't realize this UX, whether it's somebody trying to rebalance a Lightning channel, willing to wait a period of time, or somebody who wants to send a transaction and has to wait for a Lightning channel or a number of Lightning channels to be rebalanced. This UX already exists on exchanges like Strike, where you basically have like, what is the priority, the time priority of your transaction? You need it next block. Are you willing to wait an hour? Are you willing to wait a day? So I think in the self-custodial world, you can sort of import that type of UX and play with these batch transactions.
It's intuitive.
Yeah.
It's intuitive, right? In Strike, it's free if you wait. If you're willing to wait, it's free, and then they do a massive batch transaction. But in the same way, it could be cheaper, right? It's cheaper if you're willing to wait. Otherwise, you can pay high priority and get your transaction confirmed right away.
Yeah,
I think that's super intuitive. By the way, I see Jevy's comment in the YouTube chat that I feel like needs to be highlighted just because he's a ride or die freak. It has nothing to do with the comments in the actual chat, which is the audacity of Marty saying mandibles when he still hasn't read the book. I feel you, Jevy.
I've read the book. It's a great book. It's a great book. On that note, on to the Human Rights Foundation Financial Freedom Report story of the week, which is coming out of China. Big in the news right now. Law enforcement freezes bank accounts of independent media outlet Channel C Hong Kong-based Channel C, an independent media outlet founded by former Apple Daily employees, reports that its bank accounts are frozen, forcing the news outlet to halt operations. Local law enforcement claim the outlet abused a COVID-era loan scheme and arrested one of its directors for alleged fraud. Still, the closure fits a well-worn pattern, using financial and legal repression to silence independent media in Hong Kong. Pro-democracy newspaper Apple Daily faced a nearly identical fate in 2021 when its assets were seized and its founder, Jimmy Lai, was imprisoned under Hong Kong's new national security law. Lai now faces up to life in prison when access to money becomes contingent on political obedience. Press freedom can't survive. For more stories like this and others, make sure you subscribe to the Financial Freedom Report newsletter at financialfreedomreport.org.
The reason I highlighted this one is because, first of all, it's fucked up. I was in Hong Kong right before the fall to the CCP, and it was eerie, right? It was like they felt it coming, they saw it coming, and then everyone kind of built it up, and then it happened without a whimper.
It was like it was the end of 2019, right? So like COVID happened, and everybody just sort of like
COVID was what put the nail in the head for it. I mean, I had a cursed tweet or whatever that was like in 2019. It was like the winter of 2019, and I think I said bullish on humanity, rise up, and it was like based about the Hong Kong protests. And then within a couple months, they were just completely squashed, and COVID was a key part of it. But anyway, so I bring it up for that reason, but I also wanted to highlight it because the tools are here. The tools are here to fight back about this type of thing, right? This oppression of speech. And so what did they do? They arrested the founders and they seized their bank accounts, right? Well, obviously Bitcoin helps with the funding portion, right? An organization like OpenSats doesn't rely on any bank accounts. We have bank accounts. We've had bank accounts closed on us, actually. But they don't have any dollars in them. They're just used to facilitate. When we get donation, we automatically convert it into Bitcoin. Our treasury is held completely in Bitcoin in multi-sig. No single individual can steal the money or be threatened or coerced into taking the money. So you have the Bitcoin component. And then you have the Nostr component. And yes, Nostr inherently does not stop you from getting arrested. But because every message is signed and because you can have verifiable reputations, all of a sudden you can broadcast to the world, no one can stop you, and you can build up a reputation around a NIM, around your non-legal identity. So we have the technology here for journalism, for news reporting to happen in a pseudonymous way with money that dictators can't stop. And you combine the two together and they become very, very powerful. So I'm not going to give you a far sweeping comment of Bitcoin fixes this or Nostr fixes this, but Bitcoin and Nostr are a key part of the mitigation of this type of government overreach.
they help fix it. I think they contribute to fixing it. Yeah. Hong Kong. It was great. I mean, we were following the umbrella revolution very closely as it was happening, and then COVID came and out.
Yeah, I was there in January 2019.
Yeah. I mean, on a different note, but sort of similar in terms of the U.S. trying to garner support from the Middle East. Have you been following the U.S. convoy to Riyadh and other parts of the Middle East?
How do you pronounce that city? Is it really Riyadh?
Riyadh. Logan, do you know? Logan's shaking his head.
I don't know. I don't know how to pronounce it. But I guess like there was some kind of accord that came out of there, the Riyadh Accord.
That's what people are calling it. Yeah.
What?
Very interesting.
I didn't really. I wasn't following it that closely, except that I know Trump lifted sanctions on Syria and wants to do a bunch.
Yeah,
of
that was the
there.
craziest thing to me. Like he was like there with the Syrian president, is like former ISIS, and
yeah, we like had him in one of our gulags at one point. I think in Iraq.
We had a $20 million bounty on his head like 3 months ago. Yeah. I think it was. I don't know. But I think brought it up because I think China. I think that's what the Trump admin is trying to do right now is favor Curry with the Middle East and make some deals there so that they're not pulled in China's direction to do their BRICS Plus stuff. There's a very interesting observation of what's happening in the geopolitical side of things.
Yeah, I saw some Matthew Pines commentary, who is with Bitcoin Policy Institute now. And he was talking about how those countries seem to be doing a decent job of working China and the US against each other to kind of set themselves up for the next century. Which I should just be interesting to play out, but there's definitely clearly we see this bipolar world happening, right? Where you have the US on one side and you have China on the other. And how these very rich, small oligarchs are, how they handle this transition can have massive differences in what the outcome is in the next 20, 30, 40, 50 years.
Yeah. That seems like staying on this tip of geopolitics and macroeconomics. I know it's not our core, but I've been observing. It's really interesting while they're over there making this Riyadh Accord, whatever we're calling it. The 10-year and the 30-year.
Pauly says it's pronounced Riyadh.
Riyadh.
But
yeah,
who knows?
Riyadh.
It's just Pauly.
Thanks, Pauly. But as this is going on, I just checked the 10-year and 30-year yields, which are last night at least, they were back to mid-February levels. And I just find it interesting because only a month ago when the yields popped up to this level, people were freaking out. Like the house was on fire and nobody's really mentioning it now that it's back at that level. And I think data from the CBO has come out. Our deficit's blowing out. They're planning these big tax cuts too. So point being, bring it back to Bitcoin. It doesn't seem like, despite Doge and all these things that Trump's doing from an economic policy perspective, the deficit's still going up rapidly. Interest expense on the debt's still going up. Yields are still high, which means we have to roll over a ton of debt at higher yields. And M2 money supply is still going up globally. So despite what the Trump admin and others may want to project from a public facing perspective, the fundamentals behind the scenes are still pushing basically money printing and debt expansion, which should be good for Bitcoin.
Least surprising thing ever. Stay humble and stack size.
You're not shocked? You're not shocked?
Mind blown.
Yeah, the 30 yield is back up around 5%. So not great, Bob, if you're looking to roll over some debt. All right, back to the list. Actually, not back to the list. Let's get to shoutouts before I forget. I've been forgetful, neglectful, if you will. And that's on me. Rob actually sent me something must be happening on Fountain or other podcasting 2.0 apps. I don't know if it's NOS integration, but I said last week I besmirched the name of Rob Hamilton, saying he told me he sent a boost. And I didn't see it. But he sent me the receipt earlier this week. So sorry, Rob. All right.
He sent it to me as well.
Yeah. Top 4 boosts. We got 4. Ooh, we got 5 boosts.
Why are you blaming Fountain? That clearly we just didn't read it.
I didn't see it in the Fountain app. I went back and checked and it wasn't in there.
I mean, he sent me the link. I have the link in the Fountain app.
All right. Then maybe I'm just on a bad.
And
What's
he
the deal?
texted you before that episode.
Yeah, that was on me.
I have a shout out.
That was on me. We got too engrossed in the incredible conversation we were having. What's the rule now? Any boost over 21,000 or the top 4 over 21,000?
Top 4 over 21,000.
Okay. Top 4 boost over 21,000 sats from Rabbit Hole Recap 356, Bitcoin 100K. We really went all out for that title. Pringle Mac 55,555 sats, 5s across the board. Palindrome boost. She's got an NPub. It's a long
I see her in here. She's in the Nostra Live chat.
Pringle, can you put the human readable NPub in the live chat so I can give them proper
No, read the
proper
whole
props?
NPub.
All right, Noster, NPub 160T5ZFXALDD ACCDC7XX30 SENTWA 5LRR 3RQ 4RTM 38X99 YNF 8TOT0 VWSBZYJC9 is the ultimate ironic handle. This lad is anything but. Oh, it's average Gary. The Zoomers dedicating their the Zoomers dedicating their lives to Bitcoin will be the most powerful policymakers and disruptors in history. And all of this has been facilitated by frontline leaders like you. I think it's probably us, Marty and Matt. In Oz, there's a saying,
What,
cutting
is it
down.
more NPubs?
Yeah, there's two more. I'm not going to read them.
Mine starts with QNY. Do you see QNY there?
Starts with QNY.
10 QNY, I think.
No, it's not you. Not me.
Okay, so then it's probably not us. Do you not know what your NPub starts with?
No. I don't. Primal.net/Marty. /Marty, excuse me. In Oz, there's a saying, cutting down the tall poppy. People who can't build usually tear down. Can't even imagine how tiring the 7-year itch is getting. However, the world needs more folks like you two. I've never been more bullish on humanity. Love, Pringle. Flex emoji.
Thanks, Pringle.
Heart.
Appreciate you.
Appreciate you, ride or die. Bitcoin runners with the 33,333 sat boost. Threes across the board, pound drum boost. Lace up your ASICs and join us in Vegas on Thursday, May 29th for a memorable morning social run honoring Hal Finney and supporting the Hal Finney ALS/MND Research Fund. RSVP at bitcoinrunners.org/Bitcoin2025. Go check it out.
Love it.
Trevor Agora, 22,000 sats. Get one free beer when you mention Rabbit Hole Recap at the Beaverton Bitcoin Meetup Thursday, May 22nd. So that is next Thursday, 7 p.m. at Godfather's Pizza, plus one free slice for Zoomers. Zoomers, get out. You're getting free pizza.
Wait, is there really one free slice for Zoomers?
Yes.
I love it. Be the change you want to see in the world.
You gotta incentivize the Zoomers to get out there. One free slice. Those were the top boost ever.
Pringle Stacks said that those two NPubs were us. So it was Average Gary and then us. Thank you, Pringle.
Thank you.
Got a 21K zap from Pauly.
Come rocket.
No, the 21,000 zaps don't get control over the soundboard. Okay, we're not starting.
No. Logan literally said for 21,000 zap, I'll hit the come rocket button, and Pauly responded immediately. So I think that's well deserved.
I hope you took the other one off the board. Don't you dare touch it.
Press it.
Oh, I want to talk about porn.
This is.
I think the stream heard it and we didn't.
No, I heard it.
Oh,
I
so
heard
everyone but me then.
Yeah,
Well, it was Marty wanting to talk about porn, right?
that one's terrible. It's terrible. It's disgusting. Let's get on the more productive stuff. Jack Dorsey's vibe coding.
Have you seen this? This was pretty cool. So he vibe coded this with using Goose, which is Square's open source agent. And then I don't know what else he used alongside it, but it's nostream.pub. And
careful.
It's just stop scrolling. It's just a constant deluge of whatever the most recent media that was posted to the Global Noster network was.
Yeah,
There's no moderation.
Let's not pull that up on the live
There's
stream.
no filtering. There's occasional porn, as Marty obviously clearly
No,
noticed,
I did not. I had no idea. But I just figured this was a global broadcast.
Marty was really close to stopping it. But yeah, if you scroll, it pauses. But if you stay at the top, it's just as people publish media, it shows, which is quite cool until the porn pops up. But I think it's a very good. It's a a nice example of how easy it is to build on top of Nostr, and for use cases that were just never before really possible. Like this is just like a fire hose feed, and you don't need any API access. You don't have to ask Elon's permission or pay him money, or Zuck for Instagram, and it's just boom. This is what's being uploaded.
Pretty powerful stuff. Vibe coding, hot in the streets right now. Hot in the streets.
Yeah, and I think he did it like really quickly too, which is
Logan.
that's the real beauty here.
Logan, what browser are you on?
Probably took him a few
Firefox.
hours.
Okay.
Why?
Oh, yeah, I was because my vibe coded extension. It's almost ready. I was gonna, if he was running Chrome, we had the Chrome extension pretty fleshed out. I was gonna send it to him.
BTC Pins is asking for the URL is nostream.pub is the URL. nostream.pub. Pretty cool.
Yeah, very cool. Speaking of cool things happening on Nostr, I've been testing this out for the last week, and I can say without fail, disclaimer, 1031's an investor in this company, but Primal has launched an article editor, and out of all the ones I've used on Nostr, this is by far the best user experience from a publishing perspective. Makes it very easy for me to syndicate the newsletter on Nostr.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is a really big deal. Look, I think one of the major issues we've had in terms of Nostr adoption is people have tried it, had a bad first touch experience, and then haven't come back. They just have a bad taste in their mouth. It's almost more difficult to convince someone to try something out after they've already had a bad experience than if they've never tried it before. But with Primal, our goal is simple. It's make a very stable, powerful product that people can depend on. And this is the next step in that process, which is a really easy to use, performant, stable, long form blog post editor and creator. This is the first step. We have a bunch of more features coming out soon, but definitely play around with it. Give us your feedback. Yes, I see Brain User right now asking in the Nostr live chat, is this only on web? Yes, we're launching first on web, and then we'll launch on mobile. But I assume most people that are writing blog posts,
I don't know why you would want it on mobile.
Are writing them on web.
And
if you want it, we'll put it there.
I mean, I've tried to publish to Ghosts from mobile, and it's a terrible experience.
Yeah, well, I think we can do a decent experience on the mobile app. Obviously, you won't have a full keyboard, but we can still give people the ability to edit and publish on mobile. But there's a bunch more features coming out. This is the first, and we're quite excited about it. If you are a long form writer, you're currently writing on Substack or Medium, consider also publishing to Nostr.
It's very easy.
You can.
I go in the back end of my Ghost publisher. I literally just hit Command A, like select all, Command C, Command V into Nostr publisher, and everything transfers perfectly.
Boom.
It's very easy.
There you go. That's what we want to hear. And then you can receive zaps, and people can't easily censor you. So that's fucking awesome.
Yeah. Shout out to Miljan and team over at Primal. Honestly, I'm not going to besmirch the other publishers, but as somebody who's been writing long form and is very comfortable with the publishing experience I have on Ghost, this is reaching parity with it. And the way in which I had to do hyperlinks and pictures on the other publishers was just too much of a burden, and Primal's made it very easy.
Yeah, I mean, the cool part about Nostr is that you can publish on a variety of other services, and they will all be readable in Primal as well. And when you publish on Primal, it's also readable in all the other Nostr clients that support articles. So beautiful open ecosystem, should benefit users long term, because users have choice, and users can always opt out, and companies cannot have control over them. You're able to actually broadcast and speak on your own terms without asking permission.
Yeah. Check it out. What is Let me look on my
You
Primal
just go to
desktop right
Primal
now.
If you go to primal.net, the bigger issue is to sign in on primal.net, you need an extension. My favorite extension is NOS2X, NOS
Only available on Chrome,
number
though.
2X, only on Chrome. We've considered launching our own extension. Now we're talking about business on air. We've considered launching our own extension, but we're being very deliberate here. I think we might be able to do it in a better way than rely on an extension. Because I think as soon as you add an extension, it adds friction to users and it makes it more difficult for users. So if we can do it in a secure way without an extension, we'll make that happen as well.
Yeah. And what is the let me figure. I've got millions post here. Give me 2 seconds, please. 2 seconds.
What?
Primal article. You go to primal.net/myarticles, and then you can hit new article too.
Yeah, or you can just click the reads button on the side.
But I'm not seeing it in the UX
On the
there in terms of
If you click the reads button on the side, then the My Articles button pops up.
All right, UX feedback on air. I don't see the My Articles button in Firefox.
Did you click reads?
Yes.
And then did you see on the bottom new note? Did you already see new note? And then it switches to My Articles.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's not intuitive. I see it now. Yeah.
I think you're retarded.
No, I think I'm a pretty advanced user that didn't catch that. Like new note, change it. UX.
I mean, it's literally
UX advice.
Literally where new Nart is. Now it's new article. Okay. Well, thank you for your feedback, Marty. We appreciate
That's my feedback. Maybe put it next to Noster Reads. I think that would be a better spot for the button.
What do you mean next to Noster Reads? Up top?
Like where you can filter, yeah.
Up top, yeah. Okay, maybe. Right. I like that.
Yeah, right next to the search bar.
Okay, well, anyway, it launched 2 hours ago, so go check it out.
Yeah. I will be publishing there later today. All right, next up on the list, we've got Maple AI releasing their iOS apps. I've been watching the Maple team here, Bitcoin Park Austin, grinding to get this app into the App Store.
Pretty cool.
Public fights back and forth with Apple. But finally got across the line.
Love to see it. There's obviously advantages to having a native app. They're not really taking advantage of those right now, but I saw Marks from their team basically tease that there will be some features that are only available on app and some that are on web. Right now, you can also just use it as a PWA, so you can just use it in the website browser, like just use it in the browser, and it can work really well. But now it's on the App Store, so you can download on the App Store. You can subscribe. You can use private AI and not give all of your information over to Sam Altman, who wants to scan every person's eyeballs.
Hey, he's a good cook, though. You see him cooking? He's cooking. He's a cook. He can cook, too. He's human.
What about that? I saw a conspiracy. Like, did you see, like, the Trump, him, and...
the Saudi prince.
Like, the Saudi royal family? Yeah, the Saudi prince.
Yeah. I mean, that's a land grab.
They were, like, chatting and smiling.
Yeah. It's like, remember Trump won his first presidency where he was at one of those big meetings with the
orb.
The orb. They all put their hands on like the global orb. I don't know, man. I don't know.
I mean, look.
The way it's being framed is Biden administration, particularly at the beginning of the year, right before they left office, as it pertains to AI, said we are not going to share any American-made AI IP with anybody outside of our borders. David Sachs, Trump, and obviously Sam Altman and others in the AI industry don't think that's a good thing. And so I think they're going over there saying we're gonna basically tell Biden that was wrong. We're gonna fix that. in exchange, we need you to buy some of our planes, and it's going to take a lot of energy to do this. You have a lot of energy. And so I think that's Sam Altman has been very public about this. Like, they want to spin up, I think, natural gas plants and nuclear power plants in the Middle East to run these models.
And OpenAI separately had like a doublespeak dystopian, like, we're democratic AI. Use the democratic AI. Don't use the communist AI. Look, the technocratic dystopia from rich elites is very much in play.
Yes.
It is very much in play. They're going to try and make it happen. And pretty much the only thing standing in its way is open source software and protocols. It's the only thing standing in its way. Otherwise, everyone is going to be even more bagged and tagged than they currently are. And the jury is out exactly how LLMs innovate, how AI innovates, what different use cases are available or whatnot. But like right now, as it stands, these systems work really well at surveilling, controlling, and tracking people. They're very effective at sorting through large data sets.
Yeah. While we're talking about this, like, speaking of data leaks, and AI, and highlighting why people should use something like Maple.ai, one of the big note-taking apps. So if you've hopped into Zoom or Google Meets recently, I'm sure you've seen all those AI chatbots popping up. Actually, don't use that tweet. Somebody will have like an AI bot that they bring in, takes notes. One of the larger ones, I believe, Granola, had a big security leak earlier this week. Actually, looks like the CEO came out. No user production Granola apps were affected. The issue affected a small number of users on the TestFlight build of iOS app. This build was in closed beta, and the issue was fixed before the iOS app went to production. But in that TestFlight version,
The point stands.
data got leaked, yeah. And so you're trusting these companies, OpenAI, Granola, whoever it may be, with your data. And I think what OpenSecret is doing, particularly with Maple AI, is literally the only way to protect from this, where you put the data in a secure enclave and only the user can access it.
Yeah, which, by the way, is a form factor that has worked incredibly well at scale for Signal. And basically, what OpenSecret is doing is they're making it easy for any developer to build apps that are effectively the same process or similar process as how Signal secures our messages and our metadata, but for any type of app, not just Maple AI. And so Maple AI is their in-house proof of concept on how to build an app on OpenSecret in a privacy-focused way. And in this case, right now it's a chatbot, so you can use it for all the things that you would normally be using an AI chatbot for.
Yeah. And he's been doing live streams of them using Maple and other apps, and he had a really cool one, just a demo of creating like a tutor using Maple AI. It was pretty cool. That's the thing.
Yeah,
it's like a double-edged sword. This AI is powerful. It is useful, but unless we design ways in which to use it in a way that respects individual privacy, it can be very dystopian. And so this is why it's incredibly important to support companies like OpenSecret, Maple, and really demand that app developers build their products in this way.
Yeah, so like my son, because it's not me and Marty's son, it's me and my wife's son. He normally goes to sleep around like the 8:30 point, right? And he was just hysterically crying, couldn't get him to go to sleep. It was like past midnight. And so like I put in the symptoms, and then I asked what was going on and like if this was normal, if like we should be concerned or whatever. And I found out his molars were coming in. But my point, and we finally got him to sleep or whatever. He didn't have a fever. We're good. But I don't want to put that like intimate information into like a Grok or a Chat GPT or whatever. Like, I don't want them to like know those types of requests. And I think for these tools to be actually freedom oriented and useful for the populace at large without subjugating people and controlling people, that you have to have privacy in these requests and these histories. Otherwise, it gets really dystopian really, really quickly.
It's hilarious because we had something similar last night. Like literally, our younger one, he had night terrors last night, like 11:30. Had a night terror. Like we thought he just like woke up, was a little fussy for like 2 minutes, and was like, okay, we got to go get him. Brought him into our room and was literally like in a night terror for like 5 to 10 minutes, and I had to hop on and ask the Maple LLM. I'm like, how do you stop a night terror? And it was like, pick them up, don't try to shake them, just say it's going to be okay. And like literally I told my wife to just like pick him up and softly tell him he's going to be okay, and within minutes he stopped.
It's super useful for these types of things.
Yeah, night terrors are scary,
but you need to have the privacy. Yeah, I mean, it's hard to like. I can't imagine like what's like in growing kids' brain. You know, it's like as they start to understand the world, like it's just what the hell's going on.
Yeah,
you know, it's hard to put yourselves in their shoes.
It was the second night terror.
That's the job.
It was the second night terror we've experienced in our family. Like our oldest had one a few years ago. We were like, what the hell is going on? And last night we were like, oh shit, it's another night terror.
You must have read Mandibles.
Yeah. All right. 2 more updates here. Damus Notedeck beta has been released for supporters. This project's been in the works for quite some time. It's great to see Will and the open source contributors to Damus get this out there.
Yeah, so this is awesome. I've been testing Notedeck for a bit. It is fantastic. I mean, so this is the beta release up from alpha, and it's much more stable, much more performant, and it has a built-in AI assistant that they're calling Dave, which is, per our earlier conversation, is supposed to be more private or more privacy focused. I'm not sure on the exact specifics, so don't go putting your social security number and shit in there. I cannot vouch for that, but it's a fully native Nostr client. It connects directly to the Nostr network. It has a local database for very performant searching. You could almost think of it like a local caching server or super relay. And it works really well. And the other cool piece here is Notedeck is open source software, but to access this beta as a binary, right? So to access this beta in a way that you can just like click to install and not build it yourself, you need to be a paying supporter of Damus. And I think this is actually a really interesting support model for open source software. So like obviously it's still open source. People can share it, people can modify it, people can build it themselves. But if you really want the convenience of having that beta access and being able to access it with a couple clicks, then you have to give them you have to be part of their yearly support, which they call Damus Purple. And obviously that uses Bitcoin. I think that's a really cool model. I love Note. So anyone who's familiar with Twitter, if you're a Twitter power user, Notedeck is almost set up. It's like a freedom-oriented version of TweetDeck. You have the columns. You can customize it. You can just like plug into the matrix and just see everything, just stream in, and just constantly get information and consume. It's awesome.
Consume. Bring it all in. What they did to TweetDeck was absolutely terrible.
Yeah, I mean, this is a perfect example. Instead of complaining about TweetDeck, like this is the better version. Now we just need the content.
Bring the content. Hey, I'm like I've been talking to Miljan behind the scenes, like testing this editor. Like the editor, like to your point, like first touch, if it's a bad experience, it's gonna take a lot to get that person back. I'm in it for the freedom tech. I want to make sure that my content is being published on Nostr as a note, as an event as well. I'm not going to lie, just like the UX of the other publishers was such that it took too much time to do it to my website and then into our news list or newsletter list distribution and then put it in a publisher on Nostr. This has made it it takes me literally an extra 30 seconds just to copy paste, get the files and make the tags and post. Like that UX
I don't
is
think
perfect.
I don't think we're allowed to talk about it, but it's going to be even easier soon for people that are already publishing somewhere else to cross post to Nostr. So for the long form stuff,
Yeah.
Stay tuned.
Stay tuned, freaks. Last but not least, ZapStream is launching an iOS TestFlight app. Let's go, freaks! If you're listening now via ZapStream,
Massive.
watching via ZapStream, and you've been forced to do it via like your mobile browser or to be at a laptop, that's going to change, or it is changed. TestFlight, mobile app.
Yeah, so huge shout out to Kieran, who's the maintainer of ZapStream, and this is the first mobile app that he's released. I think he's going to release Android shortly, but this is on iOS. This is TestFlight. I will say Mav21, who was the first zap of the stream, zapped us 21,000 sats. He said he zapped us from the ZapStream app on mobile. So love to see it. This goes in line, by the way, with a couple weeks ago, Nostr TV was released, which is the Apple Pay app, Apple TV app, so you can have it on your TV. And this is for mobile. I would be remiss if I didn't mention that Fountain Podcast also has mobile ZapStream support on their app, but you have to be following. You have to be following Rabbit Hole Recap to see it pop up, because that's the MPub we stream from. Or
Yeah, if you're
follow
not doing
me
that.
if it's still Dispatch.
If you're not doing that, like you should be doing it. So
Yeah, like, subscribe, follow, share. Take your friend's phone, take your family member's phone, open the podcast app, search Rabbit Hole Recap, press the subscribe button. But look, this is one of the things is like, we're getting there. We're iterating. Media support, streaming support, video support, all this stuff. We need it on Nostr, and like it needs to be first class. It needs to be stable. It needs to be good. But like this is where YouTube has been such a dominant force. Is that it's just so it doesn't matter what device, and whatever device, like you can watch YouTube on. It's like everything. It's like the easiest way to like get content on a TV screen or watch it on mobile or offline or anything. Transcodes on the fly. Like these are not easy problems, but we'll get there and we need to get there. And this is a big step in that direction.
yeah, you can be like watching a YouTube video on your phone and you look up, you're like, you know what? I'm cranking my neck a little bit, stream to the TV. Like boom.
Super easy.
Getting there. I mean, not trying to glaze. Glaze is the new term. And yeah,
What does that mean?
it's just like blow smoke up someone's ass, or like, not blow smoke up their ass, but glaze.
Brown nosing.
Brown nosing. Not trying to glaze. Primal, but honestly, like UX improvements like this
Such a boomer.
are massive for Nostr. We just need to reach UX parity. This is a step in that direction, whether it's Primal, Notedeck, Zap.stream. It's happening. Taking time. And
I can't believe that we lucked out and Logan pulled up nostream.pub and started scrolling.
oh, I know, dude, that would have been bad. We would have gotten kicked off.
He knew exactly what he was doing.
Did you, Logan? Look at that shit-eating grin. I didn't realize it till like I was like, oh, this is cool. Like, I thought it was just the kangaroo thing. Then as it was going, I was like, oh, it looks like Jack Vibe coded, just pulling videos from Nostr. And
I was taking note of everything as like the top sliver appeared. As like
He was being responsible.
trying to be.
That's what we should just have while we're streaming. Instead of having Subway Surfers in the corner, we should just have nostream.pub in the corner. It's just constant media just going through.
No. There's children that watch this show, sir. There's a dozen of them. They're out there.
No Zoomers, just children.
Yes.
Only the alpha generation.
The alpha generation, I mean, we've talked about this before, but it is insane how impressionable children are. And
Ugh.
my oldest, like, he's actively trying to do more chores to earn more Bitcoin. Like, and any chance he gets to describe Bitcoin to somebody, he's like, Bitcoin's hard money. It can't be controlled. Found by Toshi. And
I do love that he calls him Toshi.
He knows how many sats he has too. And so he's already, as a young man, very young man, sort of built this understanding of Bitcoin as money, and I should try to work for it. And I understand that it is good money because it's hard. It's just fun. Like, whether or not he actually understands that, he knows the tropes at least. Whether or not he's internalized the dynamics of Bitcoin is interesting. I think, like, to the point that, like, Gen Alpha, I just took my birth control. Jesus Christ.
You saw me laughing, and then you looked down, and I saw that.
Come on, Queen. Don't do that. It fucks up your hormones. And hey, be careful taking your birth control, ladies. You're going to quote unquote fall in love with a man, and once you get off of it, you're not going to be attracted to that person. It happens. Look at there's a lot
Is
of
that a
papers on
thing?
it. Yeah, you've never heard of this? Birth control messes with women's hormones so much.
My wife stopped doing birth control way before we started dating.
Same.
I'm not a woman's doctor. Logan, did you create a thing for that yet? But
You're not an OB?
If they do have the non-hormone copper IUDs, where it's like the little copper cross, it's non-hormone. Painful, but they work.
Out there, have kids. Zach Bitcoin have kids. Okay.
Yeah, well, don't have kids if you don't want to have kids, though. It's a beautiful, exhausting experience, but it's a massive responsibility.
Yeah, you gotta shake somebody out of a night terror every once in a while. Not fun, but worth it.
And it has to make sure it's the right person, because like they got to be proper ride or die. Otherwise, I can't even imagine. And I know your wife well too. Like, if we didn't have our wives, like, we'd be
screwed.
It'd be brutal.
Yeah. Shout out to our wives. Love you, ladies.
Huge shout out to them.
All right, we're getting off the rails here, giving birth control advice.
It's Queen's fault, and you read it.
You laughed at it.
It was funny.
All right. What else? I'm trying to think of anything else.
Love you, freaks.
I didn't touch on.
Stay